My grandfather rarely spoke of the war, but one quiet evening he poured 2 bourbons, sat beside me and began with, "Omaha Beach wasn't a beach, it was hell." His voice cracked as he described the jammed landing craft, men trapped inside, bullets pinging off the hull. He and 2 friends jumped over the side into chaos. As he spoke, he gripped the table like he was still there. That moment he trusted me with a piece of his buried pain. He never said their names before, but that night he whispered, "Tommy and Reed." His voice trembled and I felt the air shift. He told me how they had trained together, laughed in foxholes, shared letters from home. The moment he saw the landing ramp fail, he knew it would be bad, but not that bad. "I jumped last," he said, eyes wet. He paused, touched the old photo frame on the shelf. Omaha Beach faded behind 3 young men. Only I came back. I asked what happened after they hit the water. He looked past me, lost in memory. Tommy was hit before he touched sand. Reed, he screamed but kept crawling. I froze. Then a mortar landed. I woke up with blood in my mouth, no idea where I was. He clenched his fists. I tried to move but couldn't. Reed was still alive, his legs gone. My chest tightened. He had never told anyone this. The symbol, Omaha Beach, wasn't a place. It was the moment time shattered for him. He said he screamed for medics, but the surf swallowed his voice. Reed begged me just hold my hand. Owen looked down, tears tracing his cheek. I held it, for hours, until he wasn't there anymore. I reached for his hand and he didn't pull away. For 70 years he'd carried this alone. The landing craft symbol etched itself deeper in my mind. Metal, silence, blood. He hadn't just lost friends. He lost the part of himself that could ever fully come home, and he knew it. Then came the twist. He confessed he hadn't attended their funerals. I couldn't face their families, he said, gripping his knees. I wrote letters, then burned them. That shame had festered for decades, unspoken. I see them, he whispered, sometimes when I sleep. I understood then, his silence wasn't distance. It was punishment. The landing craft wasn't just metal, it was his penance. I said softly, "You were a kid in war." He met my eyes for the first time in hours. Doesn't feel like that matters. His breath hitched, and he finally broke down. I didn't speak. I just held him. The landing craft, once a tomb, became a confession booth. That night, in quiet grief, we sat through the wait. He didn't need answers, just to be heard. For the first time, his pain wasn't alone, and neither was I. The next morning, he handed me the faded photo. "Tell Harper who they were," he said. It was his way of passing on the truth, not the silence. That moment, the war shifted from secret to story, from guilt to legacy. We didn't talk more, but we didn't need to. Healing had begun.